You're with Pastorpedia. You're with three pastors with 100 years, almost 100, of experience and still with a lot of questions. And one of them is our subject today about how we can help young people or interns, sometimes officially, or other people get into ministry and also not just officially, but in the local church. Knute Larson with Jeff Bogue, Jim Brown. The role of helping young people serve in ministry, not just everywhere, but I mean heading for pastorate. Let's talk about it. Some things that jump in your mind right away. Jeff?
Include them and include them at whatever level they're able to be included at. So listen to their ideas, let them try things, let them practice their talents. I grew up in a very small church, never broke 100, and it was an advantage for me for trying things at the church. I got to preach my first sermon when I was 14 years old.
How good was it?
It was phenomenal. Everybody came forward, including the pastor. I'm serious about that. I think they were just being nice, though. But it was, we had a Sunday night service. I could do something. I couldn't do that in a big church, you know. I were able to have ideas. They let me try things in youth group. I would have an idea. The pastor would help me give it a shot. And so any way that you can include them so that it's not your church, it's theirs, and they can get a taste of what it's like to be involved with it.
That's how I got started. You know, I think when I began at Grace, I was a very, very small church, but I look back at my roots same way. Someone pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Jim, well, you want to try this? Hey, can you help out prepare this second grade Sunday school lesson?" Sure, I tried that.
How old were you?
I was about 3 when I was doing that. No, I think I was 13 when I was asked to do that. Yeah. So get them young, but make sure you have a mentor with them. Make sure you debrief with them. You coach them before they go. You pour into them. I can think of another opportunity when I was 21, trying to see if the Lord was calling me to some kind of vocational ministry. I can play golf, and a pastor pulled me aside who wanted to get fit. He said, "You teach me to play golf, and I'll teach you about Jesus." So we did that. Nice. I taught him how to play golf, and then he taught me about Jesus, and he let me serve in the church in all kinds of ways. It wasn't even called an intern. It was just serve.
That was Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, you're saying this isn't just for medium and big churches.
Oh, no.
All sizes.
In fact, I'd say in some ways the small church is at a stronger advantage because all the people know the kid and will love the kid, and he'll get like the hometown kid advantage of being a part of that. And we've done that even as a medium and a large church. We took a kind of a risk on a intern worship leader at one of our campuses, and we actually leaned into the fact that he grew up there, and the people were going to be more gracious and more loving with his mistakes. Now, he's actually on our staff now as one of our pastors. So for all sizes, even as a medium and a big church, what we'll do is we'll use different ministries to give our kids opportunities. So my daughter is 12. She helps to teach some of the small classes. She has a heart for it. She has a passion for it. There's an adult with her, but she's in there doing it. My one son is 17. He preached his first sermon to youth group a few months ago. And the youth pastors helped him, and these were kids that he knew, so he had a hometown advantage. But they're letting them cut their teeth on that. And so anywhere you can find that, let them give it a shot.
So it's conscious from a leadership standpoint.
Absolutely.
We want our church to do this.
Without a doubt. Always having them on stage, giving an opportunity, any way possible to serve. Let them be out in front, serving alongside someone.
And sometimes the Sunday morning service is the wrong spot. The kids aren't ready for it, mature enough, or even good enough to do it. So it's not just throw them up there and let them be cute, but let them develop some skills and try stuff. And even if you have a staff, have that be part of the staff's responsibilities, that they find ways to help include kids and be a part of it.
We agree that sometimes you get to a church, not just size, but quality, where Sunday is not a practice time up front.
Right.
But there are a lot of practice areas.
Absolutely.
Okay. Name some. Let's hear another success story or two, or someone in your church, because the stories we hear are important. You know, I had a pastor who said to me for 2 months in the summer, I'm a college junior, I think, "You pastor the church." And I go, "Whoa," but what a great thing to get into my heart.
Yeah.
We have a couple stories. One I can think of, a guy that was dating a girl that came to Grace. got interested in Jesus, got saved, then thought he would head off to Grace College. We let him serve in our youth ministries. He served as a youth intern. They got married, and then he just recently took his first pastorate. That's exciting to see him come to that point, get trained, get cared for, be loved on, and you send him out. And I keep an eye on, and we keep an eye on, and we celebrate everything he does. Yeah.
So I'm passionate about this, so I'll give you some success stories. Jeff Bogue is one. I came here with no pastoral experience. Bob Combs gave me opportunities, walked me through it, corrected me, coached me. I was basically an intern for my first couple of years. Ryan Rodman is a guy that is kind of my right-hand guy here. Started off as a trainee, an intern. Ezra Wimberly is my other right-hand guy. Started off as an intern.
You can't have two right-hand guys.
Well, I can, Newt.
His three assistants.
Christy Keir, who's our children's director, is runs the largest department in Grace Church. She did it. Tony Lavigny leads one of our campuses. He started that way. The guy on the other side of this camera is named Eddie Biddle. He started that way, has been here for over a decade now. We do most of our staffing this way because we look and say, I'd rather mold clay than chisel granite. And if I can find opportunities for these kids, now they have to be able to manage it. But just this weekend, we had a 19-year-old lead worship at our biggest campus. And he led all of the services.
Wow. That's great.
But our church has a heart for this, and I think that's what the pastor has to produce. The pastor has to look and say, it's okay if worship isn't as good as Ezra, who's been doing it for 17 years, was on the stage. Part of our heart and our passion is we want to see that young guy or young woman raised up, and so we'll kind of accept that a little bit. Because that's part of how we view our mission and vision as a church.
The other thing, there's a whole other side too, which is important. You have someone that shows some interest and they really don't have the calling or the gifting, and to be able to sit with someone and they're asking you, is this the direction, full-time vocationally doing this? And even being able to answer that question and pour into their life and being honest with them, that's pretty important too.
The thing of monitoring and critiquing and helping, I learned something when I was 26. That's a while as a young pastor, but I tried to. I do, we do, you do.
Yeah.
And there's many areas that even as pastors, but also all of you thinking in your areas, I do, we do. Don't do everything as a lone ranger. The term intern scares some, but small churches, any size church, can have a kind of an intern program we're developing, even if you help somebody with seminary or college.
Yep.
I'd like taking them on missions trips with you. You're doing hospital visitation. You're preparing a message. Ask them to look at a passage. What do they see? I love getting the insight of different ages and perspective. I mean, the Spirit unites you, and sometimes the lenses through which they look at something, they'll offer you a perspective. And I'll often ask a younger guy that's coming along, what is it that when you see this and hear this, how does that affect you? And so I love getting perspective of a different age group.
Internships can be paid, they can be unpaid. I would encourage this. I would save the term intern for some kind of an organized position, whether it's paid or not. So a lot of what we've been talking about is just discipleship and inclusion. But when you see a kid that's kind of rising above the pack, or maybe they have a passion for full-time ministry, whether it's any element of it, then maybe you look and do an internship. We give some scholarships. You can give some like summer money if a kid's home from college, kind of a thing. I think it's huge. I think part of this, another part of this I want to say to you guys is always have your car full. So I travel a lot. I drive like a Suburban, because I have a big family. Whenever I take a trip, it's full of interns and young people with me. And we talk, and if it's a long trip, we run out of stuff. We listen, like the last book we listened to together was The Leadership Secrets of Billy Graham. But anything to be in those conversations, to be invested in their life.
Well, show that you care.
Yeah.
This is from one of the best at it. His name was Paul.
Heard of this guy.
You then, my child, be strengthened by the grace that is in Christ Jesus. So take care of your own life. And what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, back to the full car, what you have heard from me entrust to faithful people, faithful men, he says, who will be able to teach others also. We beg you, spread your love, multiply it in lives. Don't ever say, well, we're just this size church or something. Be building into other lives while you love people. You're with Pastor Pedia on let's get this out to other people and help the young minister, and some go into it as a whole way of life too. I'm Newt Larson, Jim Brown, Jeff Bogue. Thank you very much.